What's going on, guys? Middle89 here. Welcome back to the channel. In this video I wanted to talk about our governments and obviously this UFO disclosure that's coming up, as well as some of the dreams that I've had, which may be prophesying what we're going to experience, which is quite telling as to some of the rhetoric that's been chucked around there from other authors and their research, knowing that we actually do live in a post-disclosure world. It's just that it hasn't been made official by the government. And so this is where we've got to be careful, because the governments otherwise are working hand in hand with these demonic astral entities, these extraterrestrial demonic entities. And demon, if you break down the word demon, it's otherwise deities of the moon. And the moon is otherwise that luminary in our sky that emits cold light, the ill light, ill lumen, illuminati. Yeah, and if you want to find out more research, I'd definitely recommend checking out Pierce at Back. He has got a YouTube channel, but his book, Mode of Reality, and also Holographic Culture, is the first academic kind of research that he's done in order to prove the existence of these celestial parasites for thousands of years, and pretty much tying in ever since the moon came into the Earth's orbit due to some kind of cosmic battle. And if you followed Neil Haigh, if you can see on the back there, he's the author of some of this artwork, and also on the front of this book he's done a lot of work with David Icke. It's interesting reading his book, and some of his images depicting the moon used to be Selene, which was its kind of original form, but due to all this cosmic battle and shit that's going on in the higher realms, the soul of the moon actually left, and in its place was this demiurgic kind of Naga archontic consciousness, which was then used to infiltrate Earth's sphere and to manipulate our reality and doing all the shit that they've done to us as a result of keeping us in this negative energy harvesting matrix. And so in order to prove that context is key with everything, context is key. I've learned the government is so corrupt, and I learned this a long time ago when I studied economics at university. Got an economics degree at university, and I realised the manipulation, the deceit and subterfuge that is used and their clandestine operations in order to influence the whole world, and it's done through the money, the monai, the moon. Yeah, and so again, it all goes back to this moon, this luminary, which is otherwise, I believe, the dark satellite mentioned in some other occult books, which is the number one reason for the negative influence that is otherwise experienced here on planet Earth, which gives rise to this extreme duality of rich people, poor people, and you've got everyone fucking thinking they got it tough, but yet 7 million people last year died from poverty. 7 million children last year died of poverty. This is how fucked up they've managed to, brainwash the minds, especially the Western world. And so every single one of us that's born into this system, we register our babies away to the state, and under the Sesti Cuvi Acts 1666, big hint there, 666, we are all declared dead or lost at sea after 7 years old, which is why we're called a master up until the age of 7. Then after that, we go back down to a Mr. or Mrs., which is the lowest possible capacity on the rank of a ship. And these are the ones who, scrub all the scuppies, walk the plank, and do all the shitty jobs. And that's exactly what has been set up as part of this feudal system that still exists today, this social hierarchy, where we're just all serfs and we're pledged as collateral for all the debt on planet Earth, which is orchestrated and facilitated by the international financiers, who work hand in hand with, in the shadow side of everything, with these negative entities, these non-human entities. And so the people we see in power, all these public figures, they're otherwise being handled. They're just placeholders, they're sock puppets. They're just doing the biddings of these fallen celestial parasites. And probably half of them don't even realise it until they get up to a certain level, and then they become initiated and they say, yes, okay, I want to be part of this and help perpetuate this plan. Because what is going on is they're terraforming Earth in order to make it feasible for them to operate fully down here in human form, in terms of tele-operated drones. Yeah, so you've got the whole smart grid Skynet system being implanted as we speak. So these celestial parasite entities, which are like the greys, you've got many different forms of them, but they look demonic, you can tell. They're otherwise are like that fallen state of our original angelic source, which is humanoid, but they've kind of degenerated, and so they must live off true source creations in order to survive. And so this is what they have to facilitate. They have to facilitate plantations and farms, and this is what they've done. They've come along They've manipulated the Adamic man, or the original proto-human man, into the Adamic man as the neophyte, and planted us here on Earth in order to extract energy from us. And it's obviously positive and negative, because every battery needs positive energy and negative energy, and so they control both sides. And this is exactly what we see happening on planet Earth, whether it's in politics, sports. Most often than not, the Hegelian dialectic is controlled from both sides. Yeah, and so these entities, if you otherwise see, Jupiter ascending, these movies otherwise depict this. And so we've got to be very careful with the government coming out next month as to what they're trying to say, and get us to believe, because the very context of government, they're there to govern your mind, and they are deceiving us. And so you cannot put any faith or trust in these institutions, because they are run by these parasitical entities. Yeah, and I've seen some of them. Like I said, these fallen angels, you've got different versions of them. You've got these archontic light beings, which don't really have any form in this material existence. And then you also have possibly these grey aliens, and then you've got these reptilians. And, Piers Sabat goes into, really great depth and detail into these beings and these entities. And so the whole idea of nobility came about from this reptilian, cold-blooded, blue-blooded concept. And so what you see here with the governments and the whole hierarchy of our society, with royalty too, is literally in the Nephilim, the story of the Nephilim. It's all originating from off-world, outer space, extraterrestrial hybridization programs and energy extracting farms and plantations. And so these guys are regressives. They haven't got our best interests in heart. Yes, there still is good positive ETs as well, but it's all under contract. And this is how intelligent these guys are. So they've obviously come in and infiltrated Earth and got everyone convinced to sign their souls and life away, literally through these paper contracts of registration, and giving your soul away at life under these Sesti Acts, which are salvaged after 7 years, and your life is literally pledged as collateral for all the debt in the system for 70 years. And so this is under bankruptcy law, and you can all research this. I teach this. This is fact. This can be proven. And so any humane being with a soul and a heart would not ever set up a structure like we're seeing and witnessing and are a part of here on planet Earth at the moment. It is all designed to extract sweat equity with the monetary system and soul energy on on the energetic level for these astral parasites. Okay, so whatever's going on next month for the UFO disclosure, discernment is key. Know that it's probably a huge psyop, but yes, know that there probably is benevolent ETs here as well, helping to shift the grid. But inevitably what they want to do is set up this whole 5G, 6G, 7G network, so they can take the human form, which they already probably have at the moment with these teleoperated drones and clones, and be able to live out their lives through human bodies, because they're ugly as fuck, these parasitical entities, these greys and stuff. I've seen a few in the astrals, and they're just decrepit looking, deranged, demonic entities with no life force, and they're just like dry, like as if they've sucked a fucking cigarette and they breathe cigarette air. That's all they breathe, you know what I mean? They're just poisonous entities. You just get that vibe off them. So you've got to be careful. You discern, make sure you protect yourself and don't buy into any of their fucking dogma, because like I said, context is key, and a lot of people are lacking context, unfortunately. And so I want to show you actually a little video which triggered a huge dream of mine. Don't know if you can see this.
See it?
But yeah, it's just worth watching a second. And it's worth following this dude on, it's called Cloaked Ships. But you can see these lights, anyway, they're moving around in the sky. This is about a week ago. And they're making all these different formations, like constellations. And this could well be government controlled, because we have all this technology. They have it all. They've been making deals with these regressive ETs for like the last 100 years. Ever since the rise of this industrial revolution and this new technological age, the governments have been working hand in hand with this next uptick in the progression of humanity, of all this release of technology. And so this technology is otherwise the demonic version of trying to be connected as an etheric consciousness. So this is how they get around artificially creating what is otherwise what we should be experiencing with true source, in terms of being connected in the etheric realms by telepathy and instant communication through the spirit. And so this is their artificial spirit realm. This is their artificial Ethernet, which is the internet. Yeah, and this is what they're going to try and suck so many people into and promise them false immortality as part of the hive mind artificial intelligence complex, which has many other entities, you know, whether they're, you know, completely organic and or half organic, half robot, like humanoids, like cyborgs, and, you know, complete artificial intelligence. So there's, you know, there's a three-pronged kind of tiered race kind of, you know, influence going on here with that agenda. And so just be careful. So, you know, this ties in as well with what we're expecting with all the prophecies of a possible solar flare and a deluge, because these higher gods, the benevolent ones, the true source, spiritual entities who are connected back to source, they know this and they'll be watching this, and so they'll make sure that the evil ones don't get to a point where they get too much control over Earth, because Earth is a very important place as part of this solar tree which connects all the other star systems, and it's like a portal, and I think it's a very important one, which is why there's been like a trench warfare going on for quite some time between, you know, Saturn, which is this fallen star, which used to be called Ammon, and then obviously we got our sun, which is, you know, been given many different names, but this is where all the true source players come from. Saturn is where all the negative regressive ETs come from, through the portal that they made with the hex and the all-seeing eye on the bottom. Yeah, and so after watching that video, I just wanted to, a few dreams I've had which could be quite prophetic that I came into, especially in the last few months, but literally last night I had a dream off the back of watching that video and then going back to sleep, where I was in another dimension, and it was called the Ascension dimension. And so everyone was going around, it was, otherwise I was with my family, and we're all there in this house, and I remember seeing this tiger like cat, and I was stroking it, and we're all waiting for something. But then I remember seeing these orbs and a bit of ruckus happen outside, so I remember running outside and having a look at what's going on, and I see these lights in the night sky, yeah, and what was happening, they were actually dismantling the sky. So these stars and stuff, they were actually taking, they were starting to pixelize, and they were starting to actually take down these tiles that otherwise were creating the illusion of these stars in our night sky. So it was otherwise depicting that we're inside this giant dome, which is artificial, similar to what they depict in Truman Show. And also if you watch the latest Kong versus Godzilla, Kong, they put him in this artificial domed kind of reality, and he knows this, and he tries to like chuck these trees as spears at this the projection, and you can see it all kind of crash, and they're all like these little hexagrams, which is obviously linked back to Saturn. So these tiles are like the hexagram shapes. So I found that really interesting. I remember running back, telling everyone, I was like, look, see, this is happening. Like the whole illusion's being broken down. That's always what I decoded in the dream with that message. And then as that happened, daylight came over us, as if it's like just a flick of the switch, like in the Truman Show. And these entities, it was like a group of these entities, like 5 or 6 of these like angelic entities, but they were dressed in like normal clothes, which stood on this cloud, like there was this invisible platform. They're really big looking, like just looking down on us. And then as that happened, there was like these conveyor belts and these gondolas with these ski lifts, and they started to come down, and there was loads and loads of them queuing up. And they were otherwise coming down to integrate and mix with humanity. And then after that, I woke up and I thought, wow, you know, this is maybe very telling as to what we're going to experience and what is going to happen. This is what they want to do, is try and integrate, you know, the birthing of us into the cosmos. But we've got to be careful, you know, which way we go, because there's going to be a regressive side to it and also a benevolent side to it. So we've got to use our discernment and stay in the heart. You know, don't get too trapped into the left and right brains. This is where they've got their grips in, and just, you know, use discernment, logic, and reason. You know, the trivium. You know, that's the logic, reason, and rhetoric. That's the base of the quadrivium, which we should be taught all this. You know, but they keep us in the dark. And then there's some other dreams I want to just share quickly as well, before I wrap this up. There was one time where I was walking the street somewhere, and all of a sudden I was able to see other human beings. Everyone was human looking, but all of a sudden certain human beings and their eyes would shift to be a reptilian slit. And so automatically I remember thinking, oh shit, okay, now I know that they're amongst us. It's like otherwise you see in, you know, the film They Live, and I was thinking, wow, okay, and they knew that I knew. Then someone else came up and said, we need to get you into safety. And so I was like, okay, you know, so we went off into safety, and I kept seeing these beings. I could tell when I was looking into their eyes that they're really scared. They're really scared that they've been found out. And maybe this is part of the story that's playing out, that's happening. And also another dream that was very telling of this, I was in the astrals, and I was in a house, and I was getting attacked by two entities, two humans who were coming after me, but they were kind of like, I could tell that wasn't their true form. Anyway, they started coming after me, sort of trying to poison me to put me to sleep. And what I did was I picked up like an iron stoke for the fire and just went through them, and it just went through them, and it kind of cut them out. They were like goo, and they just kind of like went into the floor like jelly. And then we went back into another room where there was another guy that I was with. We were actually searching for some stuff in this house. Went back into the room, and he was lying down, and right next to him was this alien entity. So it was like one of those grey aliens, but really tall, but otherwise had cream colour, so similar colour to us, but it was like really bony and ugly looking, and had these big black eyes. And as soon as I got in there, I saw it, and I stabbed this entity, and I can see what was happening was there was this energy transfer from the human body, that guy, into the alien. And it automatically made me realise that this is what they need. They are life suckers, they are parasites. This is otherwise what they need in order to survive, because they are parasitical in their nature, they're detached from source. And I remember after doing that, those other two entities that came, that tried to, put me under this poison to do the same energy extraction, they came in and sat next to me in human form, and I said, what the fuck is going on? So I remember asking them questions, fully conscious. I said, what the fuck is going on? And they just sat down, looked all defeated, as if like, the game's up, which is all very positive, these signs. And he was showing me, I was like, how the fuck does this work then? What are you doing? And he showed me, he was just sat next to me, and he showed me how it worked with their illusion of being in the human form. And it's all done by frequency. And so he would just be like, all of a sudden human, then he would just change something and think something differently, and it just disappeared. That whole avatar disappeared. And it was otherwise like a projection a couple of inches beyond his body, which perceived him as being human. And then he broke that illusion, that projection, and it was just him, this alien, but really big black eyes, like you see the big bulbous heads, but otherwise cream coloured instead of grey, like the greys. So yeah, very, very interesting and very telling as to the images I'm coming into, with probably the sign of the times we're heading into with the age of truth and all this coming out, and that their game's up, the game's over, but they're otherwise trying to control their revealing, because obviously I reckon there is covenants and contracts and certain things that they have to follow. It's almost as if like a higher order has now come back in and realised what was going on and is here to address and fix it, and they're part of this fix. They have to let us know, because it's all part of basically what is being agreed upon in these higher realms, because it's kind of like enough's enough. You've fed off these entities for so long, you're violating their free will through deception. This cannot go on. And so obviously if you violate free will in the universe, that's the universal law, there will be repercussions for their actions. So I thought I'd just share that, and something to maybe ponder and think. Context is key. Governments are not our friends. They're otherwise run by these satanic elites. We know they all worship Satan. I mean, look at the STQB Act 1666, 666. Again, so obvious and in our faces. All of this is on paper. They got us to contract into this world of fiction as a dead corporate entity, so they can actually get away with, using us as such to harvest our energy, not only in this plane, but also in the planes above, energetic realms and stuff that's going on too. So this is all collapsing. Really is collapsing. I know I'm only part of the few, but many more people over the years will hopefully wake up, and I just hope many don't get drawn into that narrative of putting these fallen angels on pedestals, and falling victim to this one world order, single currency, get a chip in order to operate in commerce. Everything the Bible warned us about. And this is the thing, the Bible has a lot of power, because I believe Yeshua, which is his true name, the letter J wasn't invented until 1600s. So Yeshua, this celestial star being that emanated from the sun, the true source, he came down to remind humanity and stop this plan in action for good 1500 years, 1600 years before they picked it back up again. And what we're seeing here is a result of their desperation. So I think they know that good forces are coming in to try and stop this, so they're acting quickly. And even says in the Bible, Satan knew he doesn't have much, his time is short. So what you're seeing here is their desperation and fear of losing control, which is why they're going through the coronavirus. They're slipping in this UFO act. All these lower 4D astral parasites are going to be revealed to us in their controlled way and manner, where they're going to probably make it appear as if they're not as bad as what they really are, their true nature. So it's good to have that discernment, and just try not to get dragged down into this cyborg false immortality reality that they want to sell us through fucking Elon Musk, who's just another placeholder, Illuminati puppet, working on behalf of these Archon overlords, robotic overlords, and his missus, whatever her name is, look at some of her artwork and fucking music videos, completely satanic, completely mind-washed, controlled, can't think from themselves, soulless beings who just sold their souls to this archontic presence and force. But ultimately, for those who are, you know, on the truth and the right hand path, we're going to be saved, and through Jesus, Yeshua, and these solar deities, which are, you know, the true source deities, we're going to find a way back out and not get trapped into another fucking, however long it will take for another salvage mission, possibly, before people wake up and realise that stop contracting into slavery, you know. And this is the slave self that they've set up, which is very deep. But yeah, I thought I'd share that. It's a lot to consider in this video. I probably should have broken them up into different parts, but that's the key. I'll probably talk about in the next one about the slave self, you know, and how to conquer that. And this is what they've been doing with the DNA, and it makes so much sense. You know, they've otherwise kept us and knocked us down into these frequencies and locked us into a prism of these 7 spheres, these 7 chakras, and so we're shut off. You know, they've gone off the pineal gland, so we're no longer able to see these subtle energies and entities around us. So we're kept in the dark, all the time. And parasites, what do they rely on? They rely on, you know, deceit and the shadows in order to operate. And this is no different, as above, so below. How a parasite works in the body is no different to how these parasites work in, you know, the outer worlds, basically, as alien entities in the flesh and interdimensionally, energetically. So, you know, if you got a parasite, I've had experience with this with Candida, and this taught me a lot about parasites and parasitical entities. What they do is they mimic the host's genetic makeup, and so the white blood cells come in and they don't even recognize that it exists and it's there. And this is why some of these parasites and these insects in humans can grow to be like 30 foot long and not even be recognized by the body, because it gives off protein signals that otherwise indicate that it's part of the true genetic makeup of the body, and so it can't be attacked. And this is mimicry, and this is otherwise what they rely on is mimicry and deceit in order to operate in stealth in the shadows. Of course, if we are able to, you know, expand the mind up a little bit, this is exactly what they've done, locked us in 3D and they operate in 4D, so it's like a one-way looking mirror, and so they can operate and without being seen, and so it's all reliant on stealth and deceit. And this is why all these secret societies, all these governments and all these black book projects and fucking Pentagon and CIA, they are part of that parasitic mindset, because they cannot reveal the truth. If they reveal the truth, people realise that there's parasites here. And what do you do when you learn you've got parasites in the body? You want to act to get rid of them. It's quite simple. And so once the host knows there's a parasite that's existent, the game is up. The parasite obviously fight very hard to try and keep hold of its life, because it's survival mentality. It'll go into that fear-based mentality, but it's acidic in its nature. That's what it feeds off. It's acidic, and actually, you know, it can control your mind and thoughts and hunger pangs through hormones and secretions chemically. So it's very intelligent. These fucking single-celled organisms. So, you know, do not ever overlook these things. And if we have the same form in a higher form in the 4D and 5Ds. You know, this is the same kind of mentality and things and strategies and tactics that are playing out. They're all parasites. So in order to expose a parasite or defeat a parasite, you must first recognize that one exists and take measures to combat it and defeat it. So that's so very fundamentally important. So yeah, anyway, I'll wrap this up. It's been a long video, a lot to consider and chew on, but I thought I'd express my thoughts on this. It's very important in order to take this on board and, you know, hold with you based on what's going to happen over the next few years, and just stay true. Yeah, Joshua, he is the light, he is the way. So otherwise the sun, it's depicting the sun, the science in the sun. That's where all souls come through, and this is where we're going to go back to in order to get away from being extracted again, time after time, in this negative, you know, extraction matrix where they just wipe your memory and spit you back into another body. There's no growth in that, and there's even books, people who are really adept in history talk about karma and the Eastern philosophy of all this reincarnation. It's all bollocks. It's all utter bullshit. It's all programmed in order to get us to accept the fact that we've got to come back and serve based on some guilty act that we have done. It's all a guilt trip in order to get us back into feed the matrix, the AI and these fallen entities. So yeah, wake the fuck up basically, and stop feeding these parasites. Stop being a host for parasites. You know, take back control of your mind and your body and your soul and your spirit and all your energetic bodies. All right, so now's the time. And we are getting help from the rest of the universe. And this is why, yeah, solar flare may be due in order to wipe out the 5G grid, so we can completely destroy their network of them wanting to come in and operate with their clones and teleoperated drones and appear as humans. And this is why you're seeing the rise of transgender, transhumanism. So trying to get everyone to accept this satanic inverted reality where there is no, you know, it's convolution of like the male and female aspect, good and evil. It's all like, you know, evil's good, good is evil. And so we need to be careful to be drawn into that maelstrom of deceptive reality, especially if it's, you know, sold to us as immortality, false immortality. That is a very dangerous game to be playing, and a lot of souls will be lost for, you know, very, very long time, if not eternity. So yeah, pay attention. All right, guys, stay blessed and take care. Speak soon.